Good morning, good evening, depending on where you are joining us from. You are welcome to join the virtual parallel forum of the 2024 UN High-Level Political Forum on Sustainable Development. And this session, we will be focusing on protection, equality, and development. And I'm Tungamira Mkimpona. I will be moderating this parallel session. And this parallel session is organized by the Chenja Foundation. With us today, we have a few guest speakers who will be sharing with us their thoughts on the priority theme. And we are also very honored to have such a diverse audience. I'm seeing some of the audience are still joining us. So before we kickstart, let us watch the video or an introduction of the Chenja Education Foundation, our organizers.
Constructed by national leaders. Michelle Sidby, Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations and Executive Director of the UNAIDS, praised Changier for it has done the most difficult job, whose experiences and practices deserve to be promoted worldwide. In 2019, Changier won and received the special consultative status of the United Nations Economic and Social Council. In 2022, Changier won a 5A level NGO rating. The Love Education Campus Tour project, carried out by Changier, won the China Charity Award. Everything is interconnected with each other. Distant places and countless people are related to you and me. Protecting children means protecting the future of society.
大家好，我是氢爱工程形象大使康辉。
大家好，我是氢爱工程妨碍大使朱旭。
我是氢爱工程爱心大使万茜。
我是郑恺。
大家好，我是张静初。
我是梅婷。
我是李丹雅。
大家好，我是王琦。
氢爱小屋，爱的教育。
万间小屋，万方福田。
It is better for everyone to donate 1 yuan than for one person to donate 100 million yuan. A little spark kindles a great fire. We believe that all small efforts will eventually converge into a torrent of great goodness. Guard every child's smile. Guard the innocence of every child. Guard all our children.
Okay, that was a video from the Chenja Education Foundation, an introduction video. So without further ado, let us welcome our first guest speaker, Yasmina Ben-Shliman. Yasmina is an award-winning feminist activist, consultant, and women's empowerment coach dedicated to advancing gender equality and promoting women's rights. As the founder of Politics for Her, she advocates for increased political participation and representation for young women and girls from global majority countries. She focuses on climate justice, forced migration, gender-based violence, and peace building. Recognized for her impactful work, Yasmina has been featured on international platforms such as HuffPost, Al Jazeera, BBC, and many more. She has spoken at prestigious institutions, including the United Nations. Yasmina's achievements include BBC 100 Most Influential and Inspiring Women of 2023, Forbes 30 Under 30, MADRE Champion, Top 100 Under 40 Most Influential People of African Descent, Class of 2024, and recognition as a UN Women Peace Builder in the Arab states. Let us welcome Yasmina.
Hi, everyone. I'm deeply honored to speak before you today at the Significant Side event organized by Changier. And as a young feminist activist from Morocco, the founder of Politics for Her, and just a passionate advocate for gender equality, I really want to emphasize today the important and critical matter of comprehensive education, sexual reproductive health rights, and gender equality. Gender transformative education is the cornerstone of empowerment and resilience. It equips individuals with the knowledge and skills to navigate life's challenges, make informed decisions, and contribute meaningfully to society. However, for education to be truly transformative, it must be inclusive and comprehensive, encompassing crucial areas such as sexual reproductive health rights, mental health, climate education, and gender equality. Sexual reproductive rights education empowers young people to make informed decisions about their bodies, their relationships, and their futures. And it protects them from sexually transmitted infections, unintended pregnancies, and gender-based violence. And by understanding their rights and the implications of their choices, young people, and particularly girls, can assert control over their reproductive health, which is essential for their overall well-being and autonomy. And comprehensive sexuality education is also a key component of sexual reproductive health rights because it provides young people with accurate information about sexual reproductive health, equipping them with the knowledge to make informed decisions. Comprehensive sexuality education challenges harmful stereotypes and norms, promotes gender equality, and empowers young women and girls to take charge of their health and futures. Mental health education is equally important. Young people today face numerous challenges, including academic pressure, social media influences, and socioeconomic uncertainties. And these factors can significantly impact their mental health. And if we provide mental health education, we equip young people with the tools they need to manage stress, build resilience, and seek help when needed. And this not only improves their overall well-being, but it also fosters a more supportive and a more understanding society. Education plays a critical role in promoting gender equality. It opens doors to opportunities, challenges discriminatory practices, and empowers individuals to advocate for their rights. And when young people, and especially girls, receive quality education, they are more likely to pursue higher education, secure better employment opportunities, and participate in decision-making processes at all levels. Climate education is really essential in today's world because it prepares young people to understand and address the environmental challenges that we face. It empowers them with the knowledge to take action against climate change and promote sustainable practices. By integrating climate education into the curriculum, we can inspire a generation of environmentally conscious young people who are equipped to contribute to a sustainable future. Recent disasters, such as the devastating earthquake in my country in Morocco, highlighted the vulnerability of education systems and the urgent need to prioritize education, including in recovery efforts. The earthquake affected over 300,000 people, including 100,000 children, and it destroyed 580 schools. This disruption has severely impacted access to education and essential services, particularly for young women and girls. And in the aftermath of such disasters, women and girls face increased risks of forced labor, forced marriage, and human trafficking. And these dangers create significant barriers to education because it pushes those affected further into vulnerability. So recovery efforts must include a gender-responsive approach that addresses these challenges and prioritizes the rights, the safety, and the well-being of young women and girls. Additionally, today, I would like to remind us of the situation in Afghanistan, which is a tragic example of gender apartheid, where girls from grade 6 to up are denied access to education. And this blatant violation of their rights is a profound injustice. And it's really heartbreaking to see their dreams and potentials being systematically crushed. So we must act more vigorously to support all young women and girls and ensure their rights to education, especially in Afghanistan, so that it can be restored. And to address all of these challenges that I have mentioned, we have to advocate for a multifaceted approach that includes inclusive schools, So transforming schools into safe and inclusive spaces where young women and girls can access quality education free from discrimination and violence. Comprehensive sexuality education. We must ensure that young people receive SE that equips them with the knowledge to make informed choices about their bodies and relationships. Sexual reproductive health rights. We must provide access to sexual reproductive health rights services to safeguard maternal, menstrual, and reproductive health. Then we also must prevent gender-based violence by establishing comprehensive gender-based violence prevention and response mechanism, offering support, protection, and justice. We also must address period poverty, distributing menstrual hygiene products and providing menstrual hygiene education to ensure menstrual dignity. We also have to provide psychological services, offering accessible services that are gender-sensitive, trauma-informed, care to help people cope with their experiences and rebuild their lives. Community engagement. Also, it's key to engage with local communities, particularly young women and girls, in decision-making processes and in recovery processes to ensure tailored solutions to their needs. Lastly, economic empowerment. Implementing programs that provide economic opportunities and skills and trainings to enhance resilience and independence. So overall, I spoke about gender transformative education, which encompasses a broad range of different issues, from sexual reproductive health to mental health, to climate education, to gender equality, which is truly fundamental to building a just and equitable society. It empowers young people to make informed decisions, it promotes gender equality, and it fosters overall mental well-being. And by investing in gender transformative education and adopting a gender-sensitive approach, we can rebuild not only the physical infrastructures, but also the dreams and aspirations of those that are left behind, of those that are more vulnerable. So together, let us stand in solidarity with communities that are affected by disaster, by war, by turmoil, and ensure that love, kindness, and knowledge are accessible to all. Doing so creates a world where young women and girls particularly can thrive, lead, and make our society stronger and more resilient than ever. Thank you so much for having me, and I hope that you enjoyed the event.
Thank you so much, Yasmina. And up next, we would also like to welcome and acknowledge the next speaker, Bailey Vanna. Bailey Vanna is a rising senior at St. Margaret Episcopal School in California, with a keen interest in international relations, diplomacy, government, politics, Asian studies, and foreign languages. And she's currently studying Chinese, with global experience as a Japanese exchange student and attending a summer program at Georgetown University. Bailey has developed a deep understanding of potential and vulnerabilities of youth. Her passion of child rights and development was sparked by witnessing inequalities in both developed and developing countries. Bailey's hands-on experience with toddlers in a low-income preschool through the Head Start program has highlighted the importance of early childhood development and equitable education. She's committed to advocating for human rights, particularly for women and children in conflict zones and regions lacking legal protections. Growing up, she has been always passionate about exploring all the world has to offer and hopes to make a positive impact through diplomacy and sustainable solutions. Bailey, the floor is yours.
Greetings to all distinguished guests, dignitaries, and delegates. I am grateful for the warm welcome. Have you ever picked up a piece of clothing at a store and thought, how can this be so cheap? I've definitely wondered the same thing. I started to question how it was possible for something to be made, shipped, and sold at such a low price without someone or something being taken advantage of along the way. As a teenager in a world where fashion companies advertise incredibly cheap clothes, I couldn't help but wonder how they could produce these items without cutting corners somewhere. it turns out they can't. As I looked more into my own clothes, I realized that many brands are really good at hiding the true cost behind these low prices. With these questions in mind for years, today, I want to address this issue by sharing my thoughts on the importance and connection between sustainability, overconsumption, child labor, and education. Through my own research and reflections, I have come to understand that the fast fashion industry thrives on overconsumption and underpaid labor, particularly child labor. Overconsumption involves the excessive use of resources beyond what is sustainable, leading to significant waste and depletion of natural resources. Each year, first world countries export millions of pounds of plastic and textiles into developing countries. For example, according to CBS News, the United States sends around 15 million items of used clothing exports to Ghana each week, making the US the country that exports more secondhand clothing than any other country. With Ghana's population of 30 million, this means that each person has to buy an outfit a week to support the amount of imports. The fast fashion industry, characterized by rapid production and quick turnover of merchandise, relies on overconsumption to drive its profits. This unsustainable practice not only harms the environment, but also perpetuates social inequality and exploitation. Overconsumption and overproduction have led to the degradation of beaches and communities through microfiber and microplastic pollutants, as well as carbon emissions, all degrading the air quality and deteriorating the lives within these communities. These pollutants affect humans, land, and ocean life. Reducing overconsumption requires a multifaceted approach, including raising awareness through social media, advocating for corporate responsibility, and implementing policies that promote sustainable practices. Overconsumption can continue to be reduced by implementing strategies that both prevent future damage and restore previous damage. By addressing the root causes of overconsumption, we can help communities heal and thrive. As someone who is very connected to social media, I understand the power of both people and corporations to influence large groups. Social media is the fastest and most efficient way to get information to a large population. However, these platforms often encourage overconsumption through frequent ads and seamless checkouts. By using social media to raise awareness about product consumption and encouraging a minimalist approach, we can promote sustainable lifestyles. Social influence can't stop production, only lessen the demand. To encourage change within corporations responsible for overproduction, there needs to be a call for corporate responsibility to adopt sustainable practices and transparent supply chains. This can be achieved through raising awareness and advocating for corporate policies that prioritize ethical production and reduce waste. Sustainable approaches can utilize technology, such as AI for smart manufacturing and inventory assessment, while also encouraging patience in the consumer. The largest scale reduction of overconsumption can be achieved through policy and regulation. Companies will continue to move their businesses to the most cost-efficient locations as long as those locations have no regulations. Advocating for governmental policies that limit overproduction and incentivize sustainable practices through taxes, subsidies, and limiting production and emissions will encourage these companies to shift towards a more sustainable business model. International agreements focused on sustainability can further reduce overconsumption and exploitation. Child labor, a tragic consequence of high demand and poverty, robs children of their childhoods and educational opportunities, Stricter laws, better enforcement, and economic support mechanisms are essential in combating this issue. Education is a powerful tool in breaking the cycle of poverty and empowering children to build better futures for themselves. This consumption translates to the detriment of those forced to work due to high demand. As of 2022, over 25% of children aged 5 to 17 engaged in child labor in Nigeria, Zimbabwe, and Madagascar, and over 30% in Chad and Togo. In countries where production and imports are highest, primarily located in sub-Saharan Africa, children work instead of getting an education. These children are forced to work at a young age due to the extreme poverty of these areas, leading to economic pressure on each family member to work for survival. This robs them of developmental and educational milestones, preventing them from reaching their full potential as they grow into adulthood and limiting their future options. Child labor in the fast fashion industry exposes children to severe health issues, including chronic musculoskeletal pain from repetitive tasks and heavy lifting, respiratory problems from dust and chemical fumes, and frequent injuries due to unsafe working conditions. Exposure to toxic chemicals can lead to poisoning and neurological damage, while poor nutrition results in malnutrition and stunted growth. Psychologically, these children face stress, anxiety, depression, and trauma from harsh work environments and abuse. Developmentally, they suffer from delayed growth and cognitive impairments due to the physical strain and lack of education, perpetuating the cycle of poverty. To eliminate child labor, we need stricter laws and better enforcement to combat it. Providing economic support mechanisms such as microloans and social safety nets for families can make a difference in helping children and their families escape the cycle of poverty. Collaboration between governments, NGOs, and businesses is essential. Organizations such as UNICEF and other NGOs, along with sponsored businesses, can make a significant difference by educating children about opportunities they might not have imagined and reducing reliance on exploitative companies. Education is a fundamental human right and plays a crucial role in breaking the cycle of poverty. It offers children a chance to reach their full potential and opens doors to a brighter future. Strategies such as scholarships, community schools, and vocational training programs can provide children with the education they need to build better lives. We must urge countries to work together to tackle these interconnected issues. Encourage individuals to take personal responsibility in their consumption habits and support ethical practices. Call on everyone to commit to making changes for a more sustainable, just, and equitable world. By coming together and taking action, we can create a more sustainable, conscious, and equitable world for future generations. Let us commit to making positive changes and supporting ethical practices in our everyday lives. Thank you for your attention and dedication to these critical issues.
Thank you so much, Bailey. And next, let's invite Levin Lee. Zhenze Lee often goes by the name Levin. He's a high school senior at Blair Academy, New Jersey. And also at New Jersey, Blair Academy is the leader of the school's model UN team and the founder of the International Politics Club and the captain of the school's rowing team. Levin is passionate about understanding and combating societal issues. Levin firmly believes in the power of youth activism that is important for young people to confront the injustice of the world and be a driving force of progressive change. Levin, you can take the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'll get straight to it. According to UNHCR, as of June 2024, approximately 1 out of every 70 people around the world were forcibly displaced. That amounts to over 117 million people, roughly comparable to the population of the Philippines, the 12th most populous country in the world. In fact, as a member of the younger generation, I couldn't remember a time when there wasn't a refugee crisis. For all I knew, there had always been millions of forcibly displaced people ever since I was born, only that now that number had almost tripled. And perhaps more horrifyingly, its growth is accelerating. The number of forcibly displaced has now doubled in just the past 10 years, and we saw a 9 million increase from the already unacceptable number of 108 million people in 2022 in just 2 years. Ladies and gentlemen, that is not normal. We shouldn't accept the fact that we have over 100 million people suffering in far from optimal conditions as an inevitable unfortunate of life. It is especially inexcusable how fast the numbers are rising, but it does push further the question of doing something about the situation. As the leader of my school's Model United Nations Club, I was surrounded by many internationally minded peers. In 2022, when war broke out in Europe, students from European countries joined our club and refugee issues re-emerged as a recurring topic during this period. Yet all the discussions went nowhere. While everyone agreed that refugees should be protected, no plausible solution to the global refugee crisis seemed possible and could be found. This quest bothered all of us for the longest time, but we later came to realize our mistakes. By searching for the solution to the global refugee crisis, we were collectively falling into an unfortunately common misconception. We were searching for something that does not exist. There is no panacea for the big general problem of refugees because every refugee crisis around the world is unique in their own way and therefore require very different solution sets. In fact, it is misguiding and unproductive to group all the current surges in refugees around the world as a global refugee crisis, and it is so much more productive to think of it as a collection of distinct conflicts that all require attention and different solution sets. There is no one solution set to the world's refugee crisis, no magical legislature that will stop refugee suffering altogether. To truly find a way to mitigate the crises, we have to disembark the illusion of a global refugee crisis and a global solution, and look at refugee problems for what they really are: situational, regional, and unique issues involving humans. There must also be distinct short, mid, and long-term responses to every crisis, and all of these are indispensable parts of mitigation. Take Bangladesh and the Rohingya people as an example. With millions of Rohingyas fleeing Myanmar, the Rohingya refugees have placed a significant strain on Bangladeshi government, the latter which is running out of land, money, and public support to deal with the Rohingya crisis in an effective way. It is looking unlikely that the majority of the Rohingyas will ever go home, and that is a reality that must be faced. Host countries like this must be assisted. And in the case of Bangladesh, a possible short, mid, and long-term solution set could look something like this. Firstly, short-term solutions should always be about doing whatever it takes to evade a humanitarian crisis. Often, the short-term solution could be summarized as the provision of resources, or in more colloquial terms, throwing money at the problem, which is actually, in most cases, a pretty good short-term solution. For the Rohingyas case, this involves supplying basic necessities such as food, water, shelter, and protection. And this is actually pretty universal for most refugee crises. The world has done a very decent job at short-term solutions, where humanitarian aid has generally helped to diverge and evade many humanitarian crises around the world. Where differences start to generally diverge and where our efforts start to lack are the mid and long-term solution sets. Blindly throwing money is an unsustainable mid to long-term solution, so something else must be done. Mid-term solutions should generally involve developed countries and NGOs helping to build capacity. This includes building capacity for refugee populations and providing essential resources and services such as schools, hospitals, and job opportunities. However, it should also involve building local capacity, which often involves providing resources to and training local NGOs and local governments to empower them to solve their own problems, something the global community has learned to be important with the reemergence of the Haitian crisis. For the Rohingya crisis specifically, a midterm solution set might involve managing expectations, informing the Bangladeshi government and public of the unfortunate reality of the Rohingyas' inability to return, and then working with the Bangladeshi government to issue some work authorizations to get the Rohingyas out of the grip of unregulated underground labor markets, where they are often exploited with lower wages. Withholding work authorizations for Rohingya people actually resulted in more harm done to the Bangladeshi populace as underpaid Rohingyas, oftentimes child labor, undercut their labor costs. Then comes the longer-term solutions, which may generally involve some setting of expectations, such as thinking about resettlement or possible citizenship. Again, in the Rohingya example, this may continue to involve some setting of expectations that the Rohingyas might never go home, and some negotiations with Bangladesh to provide the Rohingyas with the rights they need to naturalize. The possible Rohingya solution set is, however, inapplicable to many other refugee crises in its exact form. Some crises, like the one currently in Haiti, may involve more strengthening of local capacity and may have different long-term outlooks. Solution sets of different crises vary wildly from case to case, as they depend on the financial ability of the government, how corrupt the government is, public opinion, the volume of refugees, beyond so much more. This is a complicated problem because these problems involve people and can be deeply emotional for many. That's something we tend to forget, but the complication it causes cannot be ignored. Again, there is no panacea for the global refugee crisis because there is no single global refugee crisis. Therefore, I urge everyone to look at refugee problems on a case-by-case basis and care not for the whole phenomenon, but as unique individual problems. Thereby, when we advocate for refugees, we can be more specific and productive in the things we advocate for. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Levin. Up next, we are going to invite Karimot Odebody. Karimot Odebody is a lawyer, education advocate, and poet from Ibadan, Nigeria. She's the founder and project lead at the Black Girls Dream Initiative in Nigeria, and is the author of poetry collection, Women Has Many Names, and uses her poetry to foster sustainable development. She created the Transform Education Anthem for the United Nations Girls Education Initiative and has been featured by the Global Education Summit, Plan International, and BBC Media Action, International Telecommunication Union, UNICEF, among others. Karimot was a key contributor to the Transform Education Summit at the United Nations headquarters in New York, where she co-presented the Youth Declaration on Transforming Education at the 77th United Nations General Assembly. She is one of the 17 young leaders for the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, recognized by the United Nations, and a member of the UNESCO 2024-2025 SDG for Youth and Students Network. Karimot is an alumna of Harvard University, where she studied for a master's degree in education policy and analysis. Karimot Odebody, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Harik. Hello, everyone. It's really lovely to be speaking with you today. My name is Karimot Odebody, and I'm going to be speaking on the sustainable development, equality, and development. We, the people of the United Nations, that is the powerful opening of the United Nations Charter that was brought to life on October 24, 1945. This charter has lived for over 75 years and has guided us as a united community of nations. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development was adopted by all the United Nations members in 2015. The 2030 Agenda established the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which are hinged on the foundation of equality and development. Each of these goals was carefully crafted to improve the lives of all people, to foster development and equality in all forms. So when we talk about equality and development, we are talking about two fundamental foundations that progress society. Equality in all forms ensures that every individual has the same opportunity and right, regardless of where they come from, who they are, their gender, race, or economic status. Development, on the other hand, talks about the improvement of the economic, social, and political conditions of our society. It is a foundation that is asking us how we make lives easy for all. Unfortunately, today, we live in a world where equality and development are gradually becoming an afterthought. Across the globe, human rights are consistently trampled upon. Just a few weeks ago, the world counted more than 1,000 days since girls in Afghanistan has been denied access to quality education. And this is not just an isolated case. It is a glaring indicator of a global challenge that we are in. In April 2024, the government of Gambia was threatening to lift the ban behind the female genital mutilation, which is a serious human rights violation that will put girls and women in further danger. And across the United States, we see the issue of Roe versus Wade. We see the rights of people in Palestine, South Sudan, Congo, and even northern Nigeria reduced to nothing. Every day, women and girls are raped and killed. Children wake up to the sound of bombs and the smell of war. The rule of engagement is completely ignored. We need to take a moment and ask ourselves, is this what development and equality look like? Absolutely no. But this is the sad reality that we wake up to every single day. A world where global injustice is now a norm. And this global injustice, they do not represent equality or development in any form whatsoever. So when we talk about equality and development, they are not mere ideals. They are fundamental right and necessity that we need for a sustainable future. You see, when we look at the Sustainable Development Goals, they are encompassing and they provide us a roadmap for a future where equality and development go hand in hand. They remind us that development must be inclusive and equitable to be truly sustainable. I want us to take a brief moment and ask ourselves, what does development and equality mean to me? To me, is it a world where education is inclusive and accessible? Is it a world where women and girls are truly free? Is it a world free of climate issue? Is it a world of global peace? I want us to take a brief moment and ask ourselves this very important question. And whatever that means to you, we have work to do. Everyone must come together to do their part in ensuring that we build a world of equality and development. As students, as advocates, as leaders listening to me today, I want to challenge you to start from where you are, to be the change that you want to see in your community. Start the conversation of equality, of development from the dinner table. Start the change from your own community. Advocate for policies, for practices that promote equality. Challenge the discrimination around you, the violence happening around you. It is time for us to start speaking up. In 2021, I founded the Black Girls Dream Initiative in a bid to transform education and promote gender equality, primarily in Nigeria. And in 4 years, we have been able to train teenagers between the age of 10 to 19 in the art of public speaking, critical thinking, and debate through the Ibadan Schools Debate Training and Competition, with a direct impact on over 1,517 students and 71 secondary schools, both public and private in Nigeria. And with this project, we have been able to transform education for teenagers, particularly girls, by providing out-of-classroom learning experience that improve their soft skills and also allow them to function in today's world. And with this project, we have been able to transform education in Nigeria by using debate as a tool to achieve quality education and gender equality. We have also been able to revive the debating culture, which has a ripple effect on our tolerance level as a nation and also fosters development dialogue. And in my year of advocacy, I've had the utmost privilege of meeting amazing young people from across the world who are changing the world that we live in. And that points to the fact that a single drop of ocean makes a single drop of water makes the ocean. See, the journey towards achieving these goals may be long with challenges, but the promise of a better future for all is worth the effort. It is coming together. It is a multifaceted approach. Today, I want to urge us to remember that none of us are equal until all of us are equal. I want to urge us to come together as the people of the United Nations to renew our dedication to equality and to development and ensure that no one is truly left behind in Palestine, in Congo, in Morocco, in Kenya, in northern Nigeria. We need to come together to renew our dedication to equality and to development. I want us to remember the opening of the United Nations Charter that was brought to life. We, the people. As we go on to our various life, I want that word to reoccur in our memory. We, the people. We have a lot to do when it comes to equality and development. North, South, West, East. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And now we are going to invite our next speaker, Yuanda Xu. Yuanda Xu is a business management undergraduate residing in Liverpool, the United Kingdom. His foremost passions include the intersection of business practices with human rights, environmental, social, and governance, ESG analysis, and music. He is deeply engaged in understanding how ethical business practices can balance profit motives with labor standards and environmental sustainability. His academic and professional pursuits strive to make social responsibility with economic objectives, promoting a business landscape where profitability and social well-being are in harmony. In addition to his business acumen, Yuanda is an avid musician, proficient in playing several musical instruments, which enhances his cultural and artistic expression. This blend of interest underscores his belief in a holistic approach to personal and professional growth. Yuanda Xu, the floor is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed delegates and honored guests, it's a great honor for me to speak here today about the intersection of finance and sustainable development. As we navigate an era marked by unprecedented challenges and opportunities, it's imperative that we harness the power of finance to foster sustainable development. The future of our planet and the well-being of its inhabitants depends on our ability to integrate economic growth with environmental stewardship and social equity. I was born in China, later moved to the UK to continue my studies. Experiencing life in both rapidly developing country and a highly developed one has given me unique insights into challenges and opportunities of sustainable development. For developing countries which have experienced rapid growth in recent decades, environmental problems have also arisen. Restoring polluted skies and lakes took nearly a generation and resulted in irreversible loss of some species. In the UK, I learned more advanced sustainable development concepts and methods. However, even developed countries cannot remain isolated from global sustainability challenges. My corporate social responsibility teacher, Ms. Manuel, once said something that truly resonated with me. People often realize the problems and try to fix them only after bad things happen, which often leads to irreversible consequences. Sustainable development is not merely an aspiration, it's a necessity. The global population is projected to reach 9.7 billion by 2050, placing immense pressure on our planet's resources. Climate change, biodiversity loss, and environmental degradation are accelerating at alarming rates, frightening the very foundation of life on Earth. At the same time, inequalities persist, with millions lacking access to basic necessities such as clean water, education, and healthcare. The United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, with its 17 Sustainable Development Goals, provides a comprehensive blueprint for addressing these challenges. However, achieving these goals requires substantial financial resources, an estimated 5 to 7 trillion annually. Bridging this financial gap is one of the most critical tasks facing the global community. Finance is the lifeblood of development. It enables the construction of infrastructure, the delivery of public services, and the creation of economic opportunities. However, traditional financial systems and models are often ill-equipped to address the complexity of sustainable development. We must innovate and reimagine finance to align with the principle of sustainability. Private capital is a powerful force that can drive sustainable development at scale. Institutional investors such as pension funds, insurance companies, and sovereign wealth funds manage trillions of dollars in assets. By aligning their investment strategies with the SDGs, they can significantly contribute to global sustainability efforts. Impact investing, which seeks to generate both financial returns and positive social or environmental impacts, is gaining traction. Green bonds, social bonds, and sustainability-linked loans are examples of financial instruments that channel private capital towards sustainable projects. Governments and regulatory bodies can further incentivize these investments by providing tax breaks, guarantees, and other supportive measures. Public finance remains a cornerstone of sustainable development, particularly in low and middle-income countries. Governments must ensure that their budgets prioritize sustainable development initiatives. This includes investing in renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, healthcare, education, and social protection programs. International financial institutions such as the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund play a crucial role in providing financial assistance and technical expertise to countries pursuing sustainable development. Enhancing the capacity of these institutions to support green and inclusive growth is essential. Financial inclusion is a key enabler of sustainable development. Access to financial services empowers individuals and businesses to invest in their future, manage risks, and build resilience. Yet, approximately 1.7 billion adults globally remain unbanked, with women and rural populations disproportionately affected. Digital financial technologies or fintech offer promising solutions to bridge this gap. Mobile banking, digital wallets, and blockchain technology can extend financial services to underserved communities. Governments and the private sector must collaborate to create an enabling environment for fintech innovations, ensuring that they are accessible, affordable, and secure. Integrating ESG criteria into financial decision-making is crucial for promoting sustainability. ESG investing considers factors such as environmental impact, social responsibility, and corporate governance In addition to financial performance, this approach not only mitigates risks, but also identifies opportunity for long-term value creation. Regulators and standard-setting bodies can support the adoption of ESG practice by developing clear guidelines and reporting standards. Transparency and accountability are essential to ensure that ESG investments deliver genuine and measurable benefits. Established under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, the Green Climate Fund is the world's largest dedicated climate fund. It mobilizes finance to support climate adaptation and mitigation projects in developing countries. By fostering partnership between governments, the private sector, and civil society, the GCF has financed projects that enhance resilience, reduce emission, and promote sustainable livelihood. The Cherie Blair Foundation for Women is an example in the UK. Since its inception, it has supported over 250,000 women entrepreneurs in low and middle-income countries through mentoring, training, and financial literacy programs. This foundation helps women overcome barriers to business growth, thereby fostering economic empowerment and contributing to sustainable development. Kenya has emerged as a leader in renewable energy in Africa, with significant investment in geothermal, wind, and solar power. The country's success in attracting both domestic and international finance for renewable energy projects demonstrates the potential for sustainable energy to drive economic growth, reduce greenhouse gas emission, and enhance energy security. The integration of finance and sustainable development is not only possible, but essential for creating a prosperous and equitable world. By mobilizing private capital, enhancing public finance, promoting financial inclusion, and integrating ESG criteria, we can unlock the transformative potential of finance to achieve the sustainable development goals. Let us seize this moment to reaffirm our commitment to sustainable development and harness the power of finance to build a better future for all. The United Nations stands ready to support and facilitate this journey, providing a platform for dialogue, collaboration, and action. Together, we can turn challenges into opportunities and vision into reality. Let us work hand in hand to create a world where finance serves as a catalyst for sustainable development, ensuring a brighter and more sustainable future for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yuenda. And next, we are going to invite Dr. Joseph Olivier Mendu, who is from Cameroon and is a doctor from Peking University, a Juris Doctor, and from the Peking University Center of African Studies, and also the head of the African Youth Delegation in China. He is also the director of the International Exchange Department at the China-Africa Business Council, and among the United Nations 100 most influential people of African descent, class of 2023. His research focus includes geopolitics, Africa-China economic and political cooperation, development and security nexus, and youth development. He authored a book on Chinese investment in Cameroon and made several publications and often appears on China Central Television News and CGTN to share his thoughts on ongoing trends in Africa-China relations. Dr. Olivier Mendu, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, moderator. I'll also directly dig in. I would like to bring the perspective from the African youth, presenting the African youth as invaluable assets in the roadway towards achieving equality and global development. And as you know, the African youth embodies a source of vitality and creativity that promises to transform the trajectory of global development. And with nearly 60% of the African population under the age of 25, the continent is poised to become a major driver of the global economy. This dynamic youth is driven by a strong enthusiasm for learning, innovation, and positive change. And those youth are ready to tackle the existing challenges of the 21st century to be able to leave a good legacy to the future generations. Innovation is the engine of progress, and the African youth are at the epicenter. Bold entrepreneurs are creating tech startups that are revolutionizing sectors like healthcare, education, agriculture, environment, and many more. They are designing ingenious solutions to overcome local challenges, demonstrating that African innovation is at the forefront of global dynamism. And we know that the African continent in particular is witnessing a wave of innovation and change that promises to redefine its trajectory in the global arena for years to come. And Africa tech startups are at the forefront of the innovation, developing platforms and solutions that harness emergencies, technologies, and pioneering solutions to tackle both African and the world's most urgent issues, while at the same time paving the way for fresh opportunities. African youth are not only seeking individuals' opportunities, but also aspire to engage leadership. Youth activists, human rights advocates, and social entrepreneurs are rising to champion vital causes such as gender equality, accessible education, and addressing issues related to climate change, also related to environmental protections. They are influencing policies, driving social change, and inspiring future generations. So investing in education of African youth is the cornerstone of sustainable development. Access to quality education prepares young people to become future leaders, innovators, and change makers. By providing equal learning opportunities, we unlock the full potential of African youth and lay the foundation for a prosperous and inclusive future. Referring to the aspiration number 6 of the African Union, the Agenda 2063 of the AU, that calls for an Africa whose development is people-driven, relying on the potential of African youth, of African people, especially its women and youth, and caring for children. We can clearly see that the Agenda 2063 of the AU itself requires that we live in a more inclusive society where all citizens are actively involved in decision-making in all aspects, and where no child, woman, or man is left behind or excluded based on gender, based on political affiliation, or based on religion, ethnic affiliation, localities, age, or other factors. The Article 3 of the Protocols on Amendments of the Constitutive Act of the African Union also recognizes the critical role of women in promoting inclusive development and calls for the AU to ensure the effective participation of women in decision-making, particularly in political, economic, and social cultural areas. So having a young population brings many opportunities for economic growth and innovation if these opportunities can be recognized and utilized. Therefore, there is a need to engage youth, to create a space for them, and continuously give them a seat at the table. As more young people have a better sense of duty of development to achieve better living conditions. Being involved makes you feel concerned about the problems in the community and pushes you to have a positive social impact. So to conclude, we are gradually seeing a notable depth of energy, innovation, and creativity among the youth. So their resourcefulness and dynamisms to drive the world forward is undeniable and even overwhelming. The growing interest among all stakeholders to invest in youth development should be sustained and matched with practical steps and commitments. while entrusting the youth with responsibilities to demonstrate preparedness to support national development efforts. So African youth are more than just a demographic resource. They are the driving force propelling the continent towards new horizons and actively contributing to global development. By investing in education, encouraging innovation, and supporting engaged leadership, we are shaping a future where African youth continue to shine as a beacon of progress for the world. I thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Olivier, for sharing the African youth perspective and quite insightful. So now we are moving to the last speaker, last but not least. That's Lola Ge. Lola Ge from Shanghai, China, is studying at a high school in Pennsylvania. She is a passionate linguist, fluent in Chinese, English, and French, and is learning Latin and Greek. Lola views languages as gateways to diverse cultures and histories. She delves into international relations from historical and comparative perspectives, aiming to understand modern issues deeply. Her studies in French and international relations have furthered her global vision, emphasizing the importance of understanding and respecting different cultures. Lola believes in preserving linguistic voices and fostering global cooperation and sustainable sustainability through the appreciation and understanding of different cultures. Lola, you can take the floor.
Thank you. Today we stand at the threshold of an urgent dialogue, one that transcends nations, time, borders, and cultures, one that focuses on the preservation of the essence of humanity itself, our diverse linguistic heritage. Beyond the boundaries of race and religion, it is through language that we glimpse the profound depths of human diversity. While the world might be neatly separated into 195 nation-states, this vast geopolitical map pales in comparison to the intricate web of its 7,000 and more languages that bind humanity into its shared future. For instance, my homeland, China, has approximately 302 languages or dialects. Globally, some languages may delve into the depth of human emotion, articulating feelings like melancholy with precision. Others explore the wonders of the natural world, from the intricacies of the atomic structure to the complexities of seaweed. These languages, the products of thousands of natural experiments, represent our ways of perception and expression, thus collectively shaping our understanding of what it means to be human. As a speaker of Chinese, English, and French, while learning Latin and Greek at the same time, I was often faced with the question, in a world where artificial intelligence and online translators can effortlessly resolve language barriers, why dedicate oneself to mastering multiple languages? Navigating the realm of multilingualism, I find each language to be a gateway to unique cultures, civilizations, and history. Beyond the practical utility of translation and communication, my pursuit of linguistic proficiency stems from a deep appreciation of their insight into the collective consciousness of the nations they represent. In my interpretation, linguistic diversity is far more profound and fundamental than mere words, grammar, and syntax. Each language embodies a repository of culture and moral values, serving as a representation of collective identity and heritage. Yet global language diversity is crumbling fast. The domains where smaller languages are utilized are diminishing, often confined to private settings and fading away when individuals engage with the outside world. Families across the globe are increasingly relying on dominant languages such as English and French, leading to the abandonment of not only linguistic expressions, but also vast traditions of gesture, intonation, facial expression, conversational style, and the culture and character behind all these. It is projected by 2100, around half of the languages currently spoken may be extinct or severely endangered, with some estimates suggesting as much as 90 to 95% could face this fate. It is possible that only 300 to 600 oral languages will remain unthreatened by the end of the century. But why does linguistic diversity matter to humanity in the first place? From the perspective of linguists, oral languages with minimal documentation often hold valuable insights into the broader scope and potential of human communication. For instance, if it weren't for the Khoisan languages spoken in Southern Africa, we wouldn't have discovered the extensive and expressive use of clicks in languages. Similarly, without Warao, spoken in Guyana, Venezuela, and Suriname, we wouldn't have realized that object, subject, verb could be the standard sentence structure. Furthermore, without the Momian languages of Southeast Asia, we wouldn't have known that a language could incorporate as many as 12 tones. But the extinction of languages touches not only verbs, syntaxes, grammar, and intonations, but also the culture that languages carry inside them. The literature, the poetry, the proverbs, the idioms, the preservation of oral histories, local environmental knowledge, traditional ways of life, and many more. Having understood the significance of linguistic diversity to both humanity as a whole and many individuals, it is important to delve into the root causes of the endangerment of languages. This dilemma is intricately linked to various human-made factors that have inevitably interfered with the utilization, documentation, and spread of many languages. At the heart of this crisis lies the harsh reality that due to ongoing assimilationist policies, social pressure, demographic changes, and the emphasis on a homogeneous nation-state model that shares one culture and one language, most languages that are under threat are spoken by indigenous populations. Yet indigenous peoples, although accounting for less than 6% of the global population, speak more than 4,000 out of the world's 7,000 languages. Furthermore, the culmination of centuries of imperialism, capitalism, urbanization, and environmental degradation, along with the current pronounced emphasis on globalization, is now leading to the rapid disintegration of many languages. A small fraction of languages, primarily referred to by linguists as killer languages, are experiencing significant growth and resource allocation, while the majority see a swift decline in documentation and utilization. This handful of dominant languages, including English, Spanish, Chinese, and Brazilian Portuguese, are expanding through various forms of power dynamics, impacting every aspect of society. Sensing the urgency of the situation, the global community has acted swiftly to address the endangerment of languages. For instance, UNESCO's Atlas of World Languages was created to safeguard the world's linguistic diversity among policymakers, speaker communities, and the general public. Since its establishment in 1996, it has become a leading tool in raising awareness and fostering advocacy for linguistic diversity. Listing an estimate of 3,000 endangered languages worldwide and providing analytical reports by region, the Atlas not only monitors trends in the disappearance of languages, but also has attracted much academic, media, and public attention. With hundreds of various press articles in different parts of the world devoted to the Atlas, its widespread impact as an awareness-raising instrument on language endangerment is evident. In addition to UNESCO's efforts, organizations such as the Living Tongues Institute for Endangered Languages have played a pivotal role in ensuring language survival for generations to come. These organizations not only dedicate themselves to documenting and revitalizing endangered languages and cultures around the world, but also work closely with indigenous communities to support language revitalization efforts. However, despite these concerted efforts, the pace at which languages are disappearing remains alarmingly rapid. While organizations like UNESCO are making significant strides in progress, additional solutions are urgently needed to stem the tide of language loss. At the international level, I hope that organizations such as the United Nations could advocate for language policy reforms to promote multilingualism and protect the rights of endangered language speakers. They should lobby for the inclusion of endangered languages in official language policies, language revitalization programs, and cultural heritage initiatives. At the national level, countries and nation states should continue to develop and implement digital preservation initiatives that utilize advanced technologies such as machine learning, natural language processing, and digital archiving to document and preserve endangered languages in digital formats. Furthermore, governments should encourage the development of mobile language learning apps specifically designed for the promotion of endangered languages, making language learning accessible to a wider audience, especially younger generations who are more accustomed to using digital learning platforms. Finally, at the local level, it is essential to establish programs that facilitate intergenerational language transmission within families and communities, encouraging parents and elders to pass down their language and cultural knowledge to younger generations through storytelling, language immersion camps, and community events. In closing, the preservation of linguistic diversity is vital for maintaining the lifeblood of humanity and the richness of our collective experience. By advocating for inclusive language policies, leveraging digital tools for preservation, and promoting intergenerational transmission on global, national, and local levels, we can ensure that the voices of all linguistic communities endure, enriching our shared heritage for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lola. And the last session will be a Q&A. And for that session, I'm going to invite Dr. Olivia Mendu again to handle the Q&A session. But before you do that, Dr. Olivia Mendu, I actually also have a question for you so that you can respond. And after responding, you can handle the Q&A for us. And the question is, what are some challenges that the African youth face in realizing their potential as drivers of global development? And how can these be addressed?所以我们接下来是一个问答环节，而且这个问答环节呢，我将邀请门都博士来主持。那么我这边也有一个问题，也向门都博士这里提问，就是在推动全球发展的过程中，非洲青年面临着哪一些挑战，又如何解决这些挑战？门都博士可以先回答，然后再进行这个问答环节的一个主持。谢谢。
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. And on a very brief note to answer to your question, I think the African youth is a big potential when we are talking about the African continent. I mentioned that in my speech. But the one of the main challenges, like the extent to which our own institutions engage, the African youth, or make use or even make use of the youth potential or the African youth abilities is still not enough compared to what young African really represent for Africa. So I see, I mentioned education in my speech, so I see capacity building, I see less marginalization. I also see offering an environment for the African youth to create, to innovate, and to network. And this will lend to my second also point into adding value to the African agencies, which in my terms or in the youth term means like relying on our own methods, based on our own characteristics, innovate and to be able to boost African development in an African way. So we know that we have to achieve the SDGs. We know about the Sustainable Development Goals, but from the African perspective, we do acknowledge the fact that implementing the SDGs will have or might have different flavors when you put that in different countries, in different continents. That's why from the African youth perspective, we call for the equality in terms of considering practices to achieve sustainable development. 所以总体来讲呢，我就是说非洲青年呢，就是非洲大陆的话呢，非洲青年是占一个很大的一个比例，但是呢，最大的挑战之一是青年的参与比较少，也就是说，我们非洲机构、非洲政府的话呢，就是没有更好的利用或者更全面的利用非洲青年的功能去促进非洲可持续发展。所以我在我的演讲当中提出了职业培训或者缩短或者减少非洲青年的边缘化，或者给这些非洲政府或者给一些决策者呢，应该给青年创造一个或者创建一个能够创新的这么一个环境，能够有务实交流的这么一个环境，以便使青年对于去为非洲可持续发展做出很大的贡献。所以必须得就是提升非洲能动性，或者我想强调非洲能动性的附加值，因为我还是觉得不光是可持续发展也好，或者非洲也好的话，必须得因地制宜，根据非洲实力的情况，根据非洲特色的一些情况去促进非洲发展，或者去实现联合国可持续目标。Okay, thank you, Mr. Moderator, and we have for Yasmina. So the question goes, in what ways can comprehensive education programs help to challenge harmful stereotypes and promote a more equitable society? 还有一个对 Yasmina 的问题综合教育项目或者课程可以通过哪些方法或者哪些方式来消除刻板印象并促进社会公平？ So, Miss Yasmina, you have the floor. Is Miss Yasmina around? Okay, if not, then we can move. We have another question that is directed to Miss Bailey. So for Miss Bailey, how can social media be used effectively to raise awareness about the issues of overconsumption and fast fashion? 所以第二个问题是针对于 Bailey 如何有效地利用社交媒体以增强人们对过度消费及快时尚消费问题的意识，探索解决方法。So, Miss Bailey, you have the floor.
Yes, so I definitely think that social media can be used effectively to raise awareness about the issues of overconsumption and fast fashion by utilizing its accessibility and creating educational content through posts and videos that collaborate with sustainable corporations and influencers that are passionate about sustainability to raise awareness about the importance of sustainable alternatives and conscious consuming. I also think that it can raise awareness on the transparency of the process of like overconsumption and the true cost behind the fast fashion industry.
Okay, thank you, Miss Bailey. 她的回答是，通过社交媒体，在当今社会普遍存在的现象，也是通过其越来越有影响力的现象，也是通过于对可持续发展充满热情的网红或者企业的，通过于对可持续发展充满了热情的网红和企业的合作。也是通过于他们的联合制作，不光是视频或者发表，或者他们的朋友圈，创建比较有意义的内容，可以增强人们对过度消费及快时尚消费问题的意识。Thank you, Miss Bailey. The next question goes to Karimot. How do you believe debate training and public speaking can transform education and promote gender equality? 下一个问题对于 Karimo， 您认为辩论演讲的培训，或者说是演讲口才或当众讲话的培训，如何改革教育并促进性别平等？ So, Ms. Karimo, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I believe that debate and public speaking can transform education and promote gender equality in numerous ways. One of the ways is that when we train students in the art of debating and public speaking, it is an wholesome process. Number one, they are able to do research, and then this helps them to build their research skills. It also helps them to critically analyze situations. And then by doing this, it has been proven that students who participate in debate, they have the tendency to participate more in the classroom, to stay more in the classroom. So these are ways that debate and public speaking are able to transform education. And it also promotes active learning and also build the self-esteem and the confidence of these students. So those are the ways. And then another way that debating and public speaking promote gender equality is that it gives them leadership roles. You know, the girls and boys, they have the opportunity to lead and to be seen, to stand on the podium and talk about what they are passionate about. So those are the ways, and also the topics that they most time debate or speak on. There are also topics relating to gender equality, you know, sustainable development, and some other major ones. So those are the ways that public speaking and debating can promote education and gender equality.
Okay, thank you. 他的回答是主要的是这两个方面啊，通过就是说通过辩论演讲的培训或者演讲口才或者当众讲话的培训的话呢，学生们可以是一个全面的过程，可以提高学生们的研究能力，也是会提高他们的参与度哈，也是有助于锻炼他们的思维方式和自信心。然后第二个的话呢，也是去锻炼他们的领导力，因为他认为青年领导力也是非常的重要的。在这样的过程当中，可以探讨一些非常热门、最重要的一些问题，不仅限于性别平等，还有可持续发展等等相关的重要的问题。Thank you, Ms. Karima. The next question goes to Levin. What role do you think youth can play in addressing the challenges faced by the refugees? 下一个问题是针对于 Levin， 您认为青年在应对难民面临的挑战方面可以发挥什么样的一个作用？ So, Ms. Levin, Mr.
Thank you.
Levin.
Well, I think there are a multitude of main ways for young people to help with the challenges faced by refugees. One is pretty direct and obvious, which is charity work. This can involve organizing donation drives, hosting charity fundraising events at schools, because one will be surprised how much even a little money matters at times of crisis. Any money, and I mean any money, would literally save lives. The other role youth could play is to participate in youth activism, trying to dispel racist or ethnocentric rhetoric in your respective countries, and keep raising awareness about the facts and the myths about refugees. One could also volunteer for NGOs like the Food Bank and other organizations and give their support that way too. But ensure there's a lot of opportunities for everyone and a lot of different opportunities. And so if you have the drive, you can pick one that fits you the best, because any help, and literally any help, matters.
Okay, thank you. 对于Levin 来讲的话呢，他说青年可以发挥很大的很核心的一个作用，主要的是他列出这3个方面。先是信息分享，因为他认为就是说 就算你的投入是非常的小，但是可以起很大的作用。特别是比如说捐款来讲呢，金额再小的话呢，也同样可以发挥一定的作用。他也是主张，比如说可以去参与一些行动，针对于一些不光是难民相关的或者社会上的核心的问题，可以参与一些重要的一些行动。第三的话呢，可以加入一些 NGO 或者一些国际平台，通过这3个渠道他认为可以选择适合自己的偏向才去发挥作用。所以总之通过我们的一些小小的努力，可以为比如说不光是难民或者为社会大的问题，可以做出很大的贡献。So thank you very much, Mr. Levin. And then the next question goes to Lola. What are some of the primary human-made factors contributing to the endangerment of languages? 下一个问题是针对于 Lola 导致语言临近灭绝的一些主要的一些因素是什么，或者人为因素是什么？ Okay, so Miss Lola, you have the floor.
Thank you for this very insightful question. Various human-made factors have compounded to interfere with the utilization and spread of many languages. So first, governmental language policies often prioritize a single national or official language, sidelining minority languages and thus diminishing their use and support. Globalization and economic shifts further exacerbate this issue by promoting major languages in global commerce and media, thereby marginalizing smaller languages and restricting economic opportunities for their speakers. Additionally, educational systems also predominantly teach and promote dominant languages, thus neglecting the preservation and transmission of indigenous and minority languages. This systemic neglect accelerates language shift and endangerment, thus contributing significantly to the global loss of linguistic diversity. Thank you.
OK thank you 他首先感谢对这个这么重要的问题的提出哈。他认为首先很多政府的语言政策通常优先考虑设置一个官方语言，一个单一的官方语言，而将少数民族的语言或者小语种把它给边缘化，并减少这些小语种的使用和支持。他也认为全球化和经济转型进一步的加剧了这么一个问题或者这么一个趋势，因为主要的是推广全球商业和主流媒体所涉及到的一些主要的一些语种，从而将就是比较小的一些语种边缘化，并限制了它或者这些小语种的使用者的一些经济的一些机会。此外呢在教育体系主要的推广的一些语种的话呢，忽视了一些小语种和少数民族的一些语言的保护和传播，因此呢许多的一些小语种面临的一些灭绝的风险，或者说是濒临的灭绝。Thank you very much. Back to you, Mr. Moderator. That's it for the questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mendiu. Thank you for handling the Q&A session for us. Thank you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the closing of our conference today, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to all of you for your participation and contributions. It has truly been enlightening and productive experience. I should say that it has been filled with insightful discussions, innovative ideas, and I'm pretty sure that each and one of us here have gathered one or two to go with back home, some takeaways. So that marks the end of our conference today. Thank you very much. And thank you to to our organizer, the Chenjia Foundation, for putting up such a wonderful platform for us as young people to discuss quite very important topic on sustainable development. Thank you very much, and see you next time.
Thank you.
Goodbye.